Hey, Don here. Sometimes I forget to move my mic ahead of time. Okay, so we're back again on the Fedora 25 Mate desktop 64-bit install. And I kept trying for days to get VNC Remote Desktop to work or TeamViewer or something, because I use it all the time, have for years. It works I got it to work in the Bang. It works perfectly in Fedora 25 32-bit, but 64-bit I can't get it to work. So I'm going to have to just point the camera at the screen like that. Perhaps occasionally I'll do that, and if I need to show something on my desktop, I'll go back to my desktop video. But so this is where we're gonna stay. It's actually, I will do this first. Now that I'm up and running, I'll put a little note. I need to, oh, that's still playing, yeah. So I'm going to pause that and say I need to get off of here because it will use up all my memory on my desktop. How do you spell periodically? How about putting an O in there? There we go, periodically. It's loading right. P-E-R-O-D-A-C. Period. That's not right, then. That was right. Okay, I'll put that in there. I ought to try and save that at somewhere where I don't have to retype it every time. Put it in a sticky note for right now. I'll be quick. I don't use those very much, but there we go. There it is. Okay, cool. So what am I doing? Okay, now I'm just gonna close the web browser to keep from using up too much memory. That way I've only got, see, OBS Studio sticks around 22% CPU, and it's been doing pretty good. 500 or less megabyte of memory. So now let's go to work. Finally, I'm really gonna do it. I'm gonna start this install. Let me reach over here. And how am I going to do all this? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put it back like that. No more fancy switching, because I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to put my KVM switch over on the laptop so that I can control it with my mouse and keyboard. And yeah, and I won't be able to see what's going on, with my stream. Just have to trust that it's working. Okay, that's the laptop. Okay. Got myself confused earlier. I left it in the wrong. I was on the desktop, and I thought I had switched it to camera, and I hadn't. Okay, so I'm going to go up to the one that says Start Fedora Mate. That's the, well, not that top. Well, there's there's like a title at the very top, so it's the top line of the options. There's 3 options: start Fedora, make comp is live 25, test this media, troubleshooting. So that's what I'm going to do because I know the media works. I've used it several times. And I know it boots up and everything because that's about the third time I'll be booting it up since I put that on here today. I have another video. If you don't know how to copy the transfer the ISO or extract the ISO onto your USB to get it to boot, then I've got another video. I haven't renamed it yet. It just says live stream right now, but I'll give it a name and put it in. I'm going to put all these videos in a playlist. I made 3 or 4 of them today. So this one I'm really going to go ahead and do the install, but I'm just going to have to do it with the camera pointed at the screen because I can't get the VNC to work. So maybe later I'll do it with the 32-bit. That works with VNC or Debian. If I decide to use Debian, I'll do it for sure, make a video. But hopefully this will work good. I like Fedora the best. I ran Debian 7 for about 2 years back in the day. But I've run Fedora as my main OS all the other years since 2005. So whatever version was new. Okay, now when it goes black like that, that usually means, let's see, I don't know if it just hasn't come up yet, or yeah, no, it came up, but it went black right away. It didn't give me, I never saw the screen. Let's see, now I don't believe it will log in on its own. I'm going to wait just a minute and see if it does automatic login. Historically, most live distros will automatically log in, but usually they like show you a little spinning thing or something that tells you that it's getting ready to log in. And actually, if you circumvent it by clicking login, a lot of times you'll get a lot of errors on the system the live system. And this one has been getting errors. I don't know if it just doesn't work really well on this. I think it's just it doesn't like this particular Dell 1525 laptop because I already put it on an IBM and I don't remember getting a bunch of errors while we were doing that install. Of course, I didn't fool around with it a real long time. But these errors come up right away. But see, this should be long enough to say, okay, I don't know if you can hear that jet. That's pretty loud. I live close to it used to be Air Force Base, now it's a naval air station. But I mean, we live like 15 miles. But that ain't far for a jet. All right, so I just have been clicking. Every time I boot into this, I've been clicking login because I never see it acting like it's going to log itself. And now there's the errors. You're not seeing them. They're showing up in my window and not in yours. Well, there's about 6 of them. And they go away faster than I can read them. But the first thing I'm going to do, of course, it's the complete wide screen, but I'm going to have to do it in 1024 by 768 so that I can see what I'm doing because the laptop, the way I have it set up, is too far away from me for me to read it. So I'm going to go up here to Preferences, Hardware, Displays. And I'm going to tell it to same in both. And then I'm going to say apply it. You can hit detect monitors if you want, but it's usually already done that. And that's going to make it square instead of wide like the monitor. Both of my monitors are wide, but that's the only way I can be able to use my VGA out on the laptop going to my monitor at the same time. So it's a little odd, but it works. Things are actually a little, like if you were looking at images, they would be out of shape a little bit. But I've used this laptop for years on that resolution because I use the SV video output to the TV, and that's when it goes to the TV, everything fits right, that way. You just don't want to really look at it on the laptop, but I just use it to find where I want to go and what I want to watch, It's actually working kind of weird in this live version. It's cut off a little bit on my monitor. Yeah, I wonder. I just thought of something. I was messing around with the monitor settings because it wasn't fitting right the other day, and I might have changed it. Yeah, it's on fit. Oh, yeah, that's why everything was looking odd. That's how. Now this is how. Now I have a widescreen on my view, but it's kind of out of shape. But on the laptop, it's square, which is fine. That's what I want. Okay, the auto adjust. Okay, it went away. You don't see any of this anyway because the camera's pointing at the laptop. Yeah, that's more what I'm used to when I do this. Okay, so I had to change my I don't know if you're like me, but these monitor buttons mashing, the same button doing this different functions. There's 3 or 4 buttons on here, and it's really tricky. I never do. I always have trouble when I don't mess with it unless I have to. Okay, so Fedora 25 live 64-bit mate desktop. They call it mate compiz because it has some compiz effects and stuff. There they are right there. It's not run. See, it doesn't run by default, and I don't want to run it because it's neat, but some of that stuff spinning and stuff and all that just bothers my eyes anyway. If you like all that spinning stuff and special junk, it's pretty cool. But anyway, there's some of the basic stuff. It just has some basic stuff, so you definitely after you install this, you're going to need to want to install some apps. And actually, the best way is to go to the Fedora website and find the I don't know where that is right offhand, and I definitely don't have those links in here in this, but there are commands, there are group install commands that you can install. Like I always do the Jam, the Fedora Jam. That's another remix. You can either install that from scratch or from start, or you can. But I don't know if you have the option of selecting the desktop you want when you do that. I think you only get Genome. But anyway, I was looking at it earlier today on the website, and it's what I think I saw. But anyway, it's really pretty easy just to start with whatever basic. It installs quicker this way too, but install the basic Fedora with the desktop that you want, which is going to be made on for me, and then and then do the group installs of whatever you want. And I usually want the audio video, there's electronics, several different ones, about 3 or 4 of them I usually do. I used to build install scripts on all my systems. Like my old Fedora 14 system, I have something like 3,700 apps on it. And of course I don't use them all, but boy, when you need that one app, it's certainly better to have it there than to have to go try to find it, figure it out, remember it, install it or whatever. So I would just install everything in the kitchen, including the kitchen sink. There was actually an app called the kitchen sink. And anyway, but that won't work on these newer systems. There's a lot of them that aren't available anymore. And DNF, as far as I know, still doesn't have skip broken, and that's how it would work. Going from like 14 to 17, 18, 20, 21, you'd use the skip broken command, and it would in your script, and it would just leave out the ones that didn't work. Can't do that anymore. So probably better, really. End up with dead apps on your system that aren't really doing anything but taking up space. But I never really had any trouble doing that. I did it all the way from at least 11, maybe before, all the way up to 14. But anyway, that's the olden days now, I guess. So these are the partitions on my system. That is the Fedora 21 boot partition. That's the Windows 7 partition. That is the 32-bit backup partition I put on there. That is the USB stick, a little Windows thing that can't get off of there. That's for the install Anaconda. That is the live image that I'm running off of, another Anaconda. I've never seen that before. And those 226s, I guess, are part of the Fedora 21 system. I don't know why there's 2 of them. There should really be 1, I think. But I think they're showing. I think the reason is because it's an LVM and they always show up twice. I think I'll just go in there and kind of show that right quick. Probably won't have to use it, but if I do, let's go through this too. Here's your basic settings and stuff. I keep forgetting I'm not doing BNC. I'm not doing a clear, it's not showing up really clear, so there's really not much sense in just showing it. There, only telling is going to do much good. So let's go to Part8 in the application systems. And I'll show the partitions that are going to, I've already backed it all up. I used Lucky Backup and maybe a little Crusader File Manager a little bit, but I've made videos of Lucky Backup in the past, but driver descriptor says a physical block Linux says it's 512. Huh. One of these partitions is saying there's a, I'm just going to say ignore so it'll go on up. Yeah, you might have to manually delete these old partitions. Matter of fact, I might have to go into, a lot of times I'd have to go into Parted Magic and do that, because they'll be activated when you boot up to Fedora Live System. This may be what I'm going to run into. We'll see. I think maybe I didn't have to do that when I installed Fedora 25 on that other system, so we'll see. But you can't. Let's see. Partition have been written. Oh, saying something happened. Partitions 1 on if they have been written, but we have not been able to inform the kernel properly because they're in use. The result, the old partitions will remain in use, and you should reboot now before making further changes. So I can't change. I can't use this to change the. I can't use gparted to change any of this. It won't, because they're still activated, and it can't inactivate them. Sometimes you can just do it anyway and it might work, because as long as you don't care about them. Yeah, there's the LVM. See, those are both showing to be, but see, they're showing to be 52 gigabyte. But see, this is really the same partition, those two there. That's the boot partition, that's the Windows 7, and that is the backup. I just wanted to show those. I hope that, I don't think opening that up caused any trouble. Now I'm just going to go straight into the installed hard drive, and we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I may have to go boot to another USB stick that has Parted Magic on it. And I do have it on another one, so another bootable media, so that won't be a problem. It'll just be an extra step we might end up having to do. Okay, so when you get in here, it defaults to English United States. That's what we want. Now you can either hit enter or you can use the mouse. I'll kind of try to remember to use the mouse so that it shows what I'm doing. You can see the pointer down there at the bottom right. Continue. Sometimes it takes a little while, so if it seems like it's not working, just wait. Don't think it's locked up or anything. It's usually not. Keyboard US, that's what that is up there at the top. Leave that alone unless you need to change it. Sometimes it didn't take your click and you need to do it again too. Or sometimes right when you think it's not going to work, it actually is working and you click again for nothing. You don't want to give a bunch of commands, and that right there is doing, okay, that's just what I'm in. Okay, see, it's thinking. So when I minimized it and maximized it, now it went black. So it's working away, see. So sometimes it takes just a little longer than you think it will. I don't believe it's going to be locked up. Well, hopefully not. I have been in those errors. Okay, yeah, there we go. I accidentally hit. I shouldn't have done that. I was sticking my long stick up in there to. I was going to switch over to my other machine and check things out, and it switched right when I did, but I think I hit a button on that wireless keyboard. I wasn't thinking. Can you go back? Well, there's no back button right there, so I don't know if I messed anything up or not. Darn it, I hope I didn't mess anything up. Okay, these are the things you need to do. Keyboard, you leave that alone. That's actually the right time zone. It's actually got to where it picks the right time zone for me now. The wired is all I got right now. You won't have the wireless until you install the wireless drivers. You could go in there and try. Oh, but I do want to change the domain name. I don't want it to be just localhost local domain. I want it to be Dell 1525 so that I'll know. And you can put Big D. I'm going to try that. Sometime, let me see. It's usually better if you don't capitalize and do all that. It can confuse some other systems, you know, especially Windows and stuff. Okay, so now you hit, and after you do that, you go back over to the left and hit done. You hit apply and then you hit done. Okay, so now it's got the name I want it to have. And yeah, you won't get your wireless until after you've done your install. And see, it says please complete everything in orange. Now, install destination. This is the important part. Now, you don't SanDisk Cruiser. That's what my live boot USB. 111.79 gigabyte. That is my SDA. And if you're used to Windows, it's not going to say C drive or D drive or anything. It's going to be SDA, SDB, SBD. So you have to kind of catch on to that. Now, I'm going to have to kind of read this a little bit. Select the device you want to install to. They will be left untouched until you click the install button. So yeah, click on, okay, now there's a check on it. So you don't want to click your live media. You don't want it right into it. You could add another disk, that's specialized stuff, but you know, we don't need that. You can do network drives and all kinds of stuff. Automatically configure is what you want to do unless you absolutely know what you're doing. And you're going to have to do additional space if you've already got operating systems on there. Now, if you have Windows on there, you're going to have to pay attention, and you want to keep it. See, I have Windows 7, but I don't care. I don't want it. It got viruses on it anyway. If you have Windows on there and you want to keep it, then you need to do some more steps that I'm not going to be doing, and I don't know if I'll be able to mention them or not. We'll see what happens. But I want to make additional space. You could encrypt your data. I never do that because then it's really hard to get to it from my network. There may be time soon coming when I may need to do that to stop other people from encrypting it for me and trying to charge me for it. But so far, those things are hitting Windows, not Linux. So, of course, the day it happens will be the day you wish you'd already done it. I wonder. I've been thinking I would try it. I played around with it years ago. I started playing around with encrypting, just like you can make an encrypted partition. I did it in Windows before I ever got into Linux. I've tried it back and forth, and what I found out is it was a royal pain to get to those files. And if you ever lose your encryption key or anything, you lost your files. You could encrypt yourself out of your own files. And it makes it really complicated to network between your machines, and I do that a lot. That's why I haven't really got into doing it. I've been thinking about doing it, especially like on a laptop, because if you do take it somewhere and somebody steals it or you forget it somewhere, if it's encrypted, then people can't get to your stuff. You usually don't share a lot back and forth between this laptop. I was kind of thinking about maybe doing it. If I do it and I hate it, then I wish I hadn't. You will set a passphrase. Of course, if anybody ever gets the passphrase, then they could get in there just the same as any other password, But I think I'll try it. I have been saying I'm going to try it. This is the best thing I can think of to try it on. I'm going to go ahead and encrypt it on this laptop. And if I hate it, then it'll be a brand new install. I can always reformat if I get all hung up or anything. So you hit done up there at the top. Okay, now I need to make my passphrase. Yeah, and of course it won't show up. Let's see. The hard thing is thinking of, you don't want to use the same password you use for your system. So actually I better get me something to start writing some of this stuff down. I will never. Sorry, I can't write. Get this written down. And write down the name of the computer and what kind of operating system is on it. Now then. Okay, do that. Yeah, I think I can Just make sure I write it in a way that I know what. Yeah, I think I can understand that. Okay. Okay, there we go. I think it's the first time well, I might have did it one other time and then didn't like the system. What? Something about you won't be able to switch between keyboard layouts. Well, I don't do that anyway. Okay, so, okay, now reclaim disk space. You can remove existing file systems you no longer need to free up space for this installation. Removing the file system will permanently delete all of the data and its contents. There's also free space available in pre-existing file systems. While it is risky, we recommend you back up your data first. You can recover the free disk space and make it available for. You're going to have to read this when you get to it. I'm not a very good reader out louder. Okay. For instance, if you wanted to keep your NTFS, you could leave it alone, or that FAT32 or anything. Like I said, I'm going to get requires at least 64 gigabyte. But if you don't have a 50 gigabyte system, isn't very large for running a Fedora system on. I can tell you that. So I'm going to start at the bottom. Oh no, you can just say delete all. You can either delete one at a time, or you could shrink. Like say, if this was a Windows system, you would say shrink. You'd click on your NTFS. Of course, your Windows system may have, like for instance, I put that part of what I put that called xboot. I don't know if you can read that. That's a FAT32. I did that manually. Actually, you can't shrink that one. It doesn't allow that. But most of your Windows 7 aren't going to have FAT32. They're going to have like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 NTFS. You wouldn't mess with the ones that are for system. They'll usually say system reserved or something on there. But the one that is the biggest is going to be your C drive, and that would be usually the last one in the list, top to bottom, up, from up top, going from top to bottom, and that would be the one you would shrink. But what I'm going to do, and they said it can be risky, it may or may not work, so you better back up your data before you do that. But what I'm going to do is delete it all because I don't want any of this stuff. I've already backed up all my personal files from all those systems, and I want it all gone. I want to regain all that space I can get. So delete all, and it says delete, delete, delete on all of them. Okay, then you go down here and you say reclaim space. All right, and that took you automatically back to there. And it looks like if something didn't work or something, just hang on for a minute. There, now it did it. Now you're all ready to start your installation. Down there at the bottom right, begin installation. Now it's doing it. Now while it's working, you can do these other things. Create your root password. So I click on that. I'm going to write that down. Before I start typing it out. Okay. Now, your regular user, you always want to create a regular user. You don't want to run the system as root, because if anybody gets in there, they have full access to your system. And you can type like that. Okay, that's what I like to do. I don't put my whole name, I just put my first name. And then they'll always recommend, they give you your username as that same thing, but with, that way if you have to type your username, it's easier than having, like, see, then you get a long thing to type out. So that's just the way I like to do it. And I don't make this user administrator. I would say don't do that ever in Fedora, because it's much simpler and it's much more secure, because everything that needs, you don't get into that sudo and su and sudo, the different, go back. Anytime it asks you, you type your root password. If you do that, make it administrator, it'll be like Ubuntu, and sometimes it'll want root password, sometimes it'll want a sudo password, which is your regular user password, and it's a pain in the butt, confusing and less secure. So that's my 2 cents. You didn't used to have that option. Okay, now up here, now it doesn't give you any OK or anything down there. It just says you just click done. But so I don't ever make a regular user administrator. There's no need for it, because anything that needs any permissions, just make it always be root permissions. And it also teaches you to learn your root password, because you will need it. Even if you're using sudo, you will still end up needing your root password at times, and you'll be all confused. I've had to help people so many times. Oh, nothing's working. They're all pissed off. Yeah, it's not working because you're not typing the right password. It's not asking you for that one. It's asking you for this one. And sometimes I don't figure it out for a while either, because I'm not used to it, because I don't do it that way. But I think we're fine. Earlier when I thought maybe I made a mistake, when I was messing around there and I bumped that keyboard, I was afraid I hit. Actually, if I did hit anything, it would have been the volume keys and stuff. I thought I'd hit like F5 or F4 or something and messed it up, but no, I don't think I did, because I haven't seen any errors or anything. So it's working its way now. It looks like it's almost halfway through, and it may go pretty quickly, but it's probably going to take a while. I'm going to say 20 to 30 minutes. It says it's 60% done installing software, but this is just the basic. There's not a bunch of extra software, so it may not be as quick. I mean, as slow as when you do a bigger one with a bunch of software in it. So let's put this somewhere else. Well, okay, we'll put it right here. Now, you don't know what I'm doing anyway, do you? I always forget what it is I'm showing and what I'm not. Okay, so I'm going to go, while this is working, I'm going to go over here and check on my live stream and all that stuff. I won't switch over to it. I guess I will just leave. I'll just leave the installation showing while I'm just checking my stuff. And if I decide I need to show you something, like there's a few things I can't remember. If I could remember them, I thought, well, I might go over here and show them. The things I was talking about. If I can remember what it was I was talking about that I would need to show you in the web browser, then I will show it. But okay, still got a good stream. Yeah, we're 34 minutes since I started, so that's not too bad. We're making fairly good time here. Not too bad at all. Okay. And I'm gonna while that's doing its thing, I'm over here on my computer trying to see if I can remember what it was I wanted to. If I look through my links, I might find something that might be of importance. I know one thing. This is going to be new for me is having an encrypted file system. So whenever we reboot, there'll be I'll have to type in a password just to boot it up, I guess, to finish booting it up. That's one thing about the only reason I think about doing the encryption is so that someone else can't encrypt my file system and keep me out of it. Because with your regular user and your root password, you've got those two layers of security to protect your system. As long as you use that, they can't log into your system without figuring out your password. I mean, it can be done, but it's going to have to be somebody that knows what they're doing. So, going to sleep? Yep, it was going to sleep. Well, that was weird. I picked up that wireless mouse and it kind of went wonky for a minute there. Okay. Yeah, this could take longer. Okay, so I'm going to switch over here to my desktop of my machine here. And I'm going to see if I can find any information on the encryption. That's for Fedora 15 encryption. And I said my search was Fedora 25. Oh, I see. Or that address is 25. But I'm taking cough drops and taking cold pills to keep from draining and coughing to the point where I can't talk. I'll get to where I just physically can't talk. I'll click back in on that. Oh, it's getting closer to being done. Oh, I think it is about done. Let me click on it right now. Yep. Okay, let's go back to it. No more searching. Close that web browser so that it doesn't overwhelm that machine. Is it really done? Look at that, complete. That is about the fastest I've seen an operating system installed in a long time. Fedora is now successfully installed and ready for you to use. Didn't that just make you feel crazy after spending 4 or 5 days trying to make that, just because I wanted to do this turn this into a 5-day thing just because I wanted to do it in the VNC so the video would be prettier. Go ahead and reboot. Okay, now, I don't think, some of them will reboot when you click quit or OK or whatever. This says quit. Okay, I'm going to read this real carefully and see what it says. Successfully installed, for you to use. Go ahead and reboot to start using. Okay, I think you're going to have to manually reboot. I think that's the way Fedora still does it. I'll just wait for a second. But and what you want to do, you don't want to take your USB stick out until it's either try to catch it when it's not being read while it's rebooting, or shut it down and then boot it back up. It's really kind of safer to shut it down and then boot it back up. Sometimes I forget and I just hit reboot. But I think I'm going to shut it down because I've got I've got this all set up so perfectly to do the video. And if you don't take your USB stick out, it'll just boot back to your USB stick again, So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Of course, taking that pill didn't help me. I've had so many cough drops a day, I'm scared of taking any more of them. So, you see me with my wand, my magic wand. This is a back scratcher with paper towel on it because I put paper towel on it so I can, if you don't got nobody to put aloe vera. Sometimes I want to put aloe vera on my back because it itches, and that helps, by the way. So you can do it with your back scratcher with paper towel on it. So anyway, I'll leave it like that for now, just to kind of show what I'm doing. And let me get over here, and okay, I'll take my mouse, my wireless mouse here, shut it down instead of rebooting. There we go. Oh, now do I want to shut down? Yes, I do. Okay. I never know where I want to leave things. Okay, now when it gets shut down all the way, which it's already done, I'm going to go unplug that USB stick. Kind of hard to get it out of there without moving it, but I think I did okay this time. Kind of held down on the laptop, pushed it down kind of hard while I was doing it. Usually you don't have a camera aiming at your USB stick and you're not worried about that. Okay, so I think one more time I want to make sure that my stream is still good before I boot it back up. Everything's going well, so let's just kind of make sure everything's still okay. Go to my stream. I finally remember to go back and use my history. For half the day today, I kept forgetting to do that. Okay. Looks good. Yep. Okay. Good health. Okay. Oh, yeah, it tells you how many people are watching. Okay, so let's go to cam 2. And then when I go over here and, yeah, okay, I got it on the cam. Okay, now I'm going to switch so that I won't have to do that while it's booting up. I may have to grab my keyboard. I may have to answer. No, that doesn't sound right when I move away. I get across the mic there. I may have to answer. Okay. Yeah, okay. Now we should be booting up to our brand new Fedora 25 system. There it is. Now you don't have to do anything. The previous one, I can't read it either, so you might be able to read it better on the camera than I could from way over here. But you don't do anything. You just leave it, let it boot right in. If you had a problem or anything, you might usually that's the previous kernel. That might have been troubleshooting or command or get you into the command line or whatever. It's probably what it was. Okay, there you go. First time I've seen that just like that. And you're gonna have, that's the encryption. You got to unencrypt it first before you can get in there. Let's see. Oops. Really all it's doing, well, I mean, it's doing this encryption. I mean, you know, like with it encrypted, somebody can't just take your hard drive out of your machine and read it. Not without this key. So don't lose the key if you're going to do this. You can reformat it, of course, but the Lenovo i5 that I'm broadcasting with, when it was given to me, it was encrypted with the Windows 7 encryption, built-in encryption, and something went wrong and they couldn't get into it anymore. And so it would end up being given to me, and I failed around with it for a while. I'd never seen that Windows 7 encryption thing before, and I found that there were ways to get past it and make it work, but something happened there, and it went away. But I didn't ever get. I kind of failed with it, and then I quit, and I just reformatted it with Fedora Windows 7. And if you're gonna start with a new system, do your Windows first, and then do your Linux, because if you do your Fedora first, then the Windows will break your grub boot, so your grub boot menu, which is what what you see when you boot up. But maybe what that was part of that unencrypting stuff, that little GUI that flashed up there. Although, you know what I think? Look at that. See what it did? Same thing it's doing as live. Okay. So it's just going to go, that I don't like. Hopefully when they get your updates, it'll quit that. It should just go like this to your boot screen. It's off to one side because I'm doing the two monitors and everything's not the right, not the right. Actually, they're both the right size right now. And I'm seeing them both. So this may work out okay, but it's not in the middle. It's in the middle on my monitor, but not in the middle on the laptop. So anyway. You type in, you got to click in there. It didn't, probably because me having to click on there to make it go. You got to click in there. If it doesn't, normally the cursor will be in that window and you just type and hit enter. But since I had to click, I clicked out of that off into the side, So it defaults to your username. You could change it. You can click other, and then with Fedora, or at least in 23, you can still log in as root. If you really need to fix something or whatever, you could log in as root. But usually you just want to do it from your regular user, and it'll ask you for the root password when you're trying to do things. But yeah, there's sometimes when you might need to do that, but not too often anymore. Doesn't seem to be. It's not taking my. I don't think my keyboard's working. Click out, click in. Let's see if the keyboard's not working. Why not? Still, it has my. I only have the Mate desktop, so. Huh. Boy, if something's messed up, I'm gonna be mad. Keyboard. Neither one of my keyboards are responding. Okay, so they may not be working until after I get it all. Go through the first boot. I'm gonna go over here and type on the actual keyboard on the laptop. This is a laptop, and that does happen sometimes, once in a while. I don't think my mouse is working, but my keyboard, my USB keyboard, doesn't seem to be. I get that little blue line. It doesn't seem to be working. No, it doesn't seem to be working either. So I guess I'll try a reboot. Got 3 keyboards to choose from, and not one of them's working. And I don't think, it worked fine. Never had a problem. I'm trying to get my chair situated. Never had a problem during the live, so. Get situated here. Nope, none of them are responding, but my mouse works. Okay, so that I only have one desktop right now. Later, I will install another desktop. Oh, now it did something really weird. Oh, now it's working. I think it wasn't finished booting into the logon screen. I did click around, but it jumped over here on my. See, now it's in the center. Well, over here on my monitor now, it jumped off to a much smaller view of it. So I think it wasn't quite through booting up. Okay, so I just, you wouldn't expect to have to wait that long, ever, for it to get to that point. It's probably because it's the first boot and it was still doing stuff. Right now, it's fitting the monitor perfectly and both monitors perfectly. And it's a mirrored screen. So after the install, see, now I don't have to do 1024 by 768. No, there is an oops, though. Sorry. Looks like boot image crash and something else. Same kind of thing that I saw before. Okay. But looks okay. What did I do with my stick? I want to make sure that I'm that I'm not talking for nothing. You know, I get myself confused pretty easy. Yeah, okay, I'm showing the laptop screen. Okay, that's all I wanted to do. Make sure. Switch back. Okay, so here it is. Seems like the graphics already look a little better from the live. Oh, it's not all showing on the laptop. I think because it's not the right size. So it is on my desktop. Oh, I think it's not the mirrored screen. That's why. Preferences, display, hardware displays. Okay. Yeah, it wasn't. So I have to change it to say, oh, it's going to be 1024 by 768. But I need to do that so that it will work. So it's back to the same old, same old. What it was is it was one monitor was the main monitor. What it had done is made my my big monitor the main one, and the laptop didn't have the row at the bottom, the bar at the bottom. Now neither one of them has the bar right now. Maybe it'll come in a minute. But yeah, the bad thing about encrypting your drive is if you have any kind of malfunction with your operating system, then it's broken. It's completely broken. Your boot is broken. Then, from what I don't believe. I mean, there may be a way to unencrypt it that I haven't read. I haven't been using it, so I don't know all the ins and outs. But you couldn't just take your hard drive and put it in a USB adapter and plug it into your desktop and get your files back. So I might end up not liking this at all. But before I go too far into putting a bunch of stuff on here, I may change my mind. But I think it's going to be the same as it was live there. So, but the first thing you want to do is update it. And so I think I'll just start that. I don't know that I'll just let the video continue for the whole update, and just type SU, open up the terminal, and you could do it in the graphic, but like I said before in the other video, a lot of times you'll get errors. So the very first update is usually better to just go ahead. It's almost always better to go ahead and do it in the terminal window, command line, and type SU, and then you're going to put in your root password that you made a while ago. Now root Dell 1525 as Don. User Don. Okay, now then. And I'm going to go ahead and do DNF update. Since DNF is the new package manager, you can type yum update and it does in Fedora 23. It will forward it onto DNF, and those commands still work. I don't know if they do in 25. I think they do. I don't remember for sure, to be honest. I've only messed with one. I've only installed this on one other machine, and it was a few months ago. And it's not the one I used. And did it for somebody else. So I haven't even been on that machine again. Once I get a machine the way I want it, I just like to keep on using it, and it's hard to get myself to get around to updating them. That's why I'm jumping from 23 to 25. So it's counting, it's figuring it up. It's got one app up there in the top that it's going to do. And I did this in the live version a while ago when I was trying desperately to get VNC to work, and it actually was doing quicker than it is right now. But there we go. But see, is it downloading them? I think it's just counting up what it's gonna download. Yeah, that's what it does. It goes and sees what's needed, and then it counts all up what it's gonna download. And then it asks you, do you want to do this? And before it was like 875 megabytes. So that'll take and it's not just downloading them, but it's also installing them. So it can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, to get it all done. Maybe almost 2 hours with that when it's that much. Okay, now see, there's the whole list, and it's a pretty long list. 640 install 17, upgrade 640 packages. So you can go back and see how many. So, and it asks you, do you want to do this? 835 megabyte, not 75. And type Y for yes. Downloading packages. And I think it downloads them all first and then it starts installing them. And of course in that terminal window it's pretty kind of blurry, so you can't really see what it's doing. So I won't just leave it here the whole time. I'll wait until it kind of starts showing stuff and then okay, there it goes. I mean, it's pretty quick. See, look at that. So most of them are very small. That's one of the beautiful things about Linux is most of the packages are so small compared to Windows. Software packages. You have to learn a few other terminologies that you might not be used to in Linux. I just use them all interchangeably. I've been using app for a long time before the phones came out and tried to take over that word. App just short for application. Software application, that's what they used to call it back in the well, I knew about it since about in the 70s. Used to hear it all the time, even though I didn't really understand it back then because I wasn't into computers. I didn't really learn anything about computers until about 90, 91, 92. I can't even remember now. I think I usually say 92. If I'm going to talk, I'm going to have to have another cough drop, whether I like it or not. So, oddly enough, that was Windows 3.1. And then I kind of I learned some things. I mean, people were on the internet, and I got on it a little bit, but there wasn't much to do. And I learned how to make spreadsheets and make address books and stuff. And then I didn't fool with it much, and again until 98. And I've been on the computer every day, almost all day since then. And on the internet. Once I got on the internet, that's when I got on the internet. That's when the whole world of knowledge and stuff opened up to me. I think you could learn, and that's what I like about it. Computer all by itself is really cool, but it's really not much to me without the internet. So I'm going to switch on over to my desktop here on the streaming machine here. That's what I ought to start calling it, the streaming machine. And I think I'll try to go back to first I want to kind of look in on my stream and then try to go back and see if I can it's just a little behind what you're doing. not much at all. Go back and see if they have any links saved about see usually I would have like lines and lines of links on things, but I haven't really been looking into encryptions. That's Fedora 17, 16, 15. I don't have anything recent. So go to the Fedora page and just see I guess I should just go to the manual. I'm just going to click on the installation guide and that'll get me to the manual. Okay, now yeah, see this manual doesn't have there's not a search on this manual page. So that's usually how come I just use Google to get to stuff on this menu page. how to encrypt it. Of course, if you do it when you install it, it's really simple. We saw that. That's what's going on over there. It's working away. Can't read it all, but yeah, it's still working, so we'll let it work. Okay. Fedora magazine. There you go. What is encryption? If you don't know anything at all about it, then this is a good place to start. Why should you encrypt? Of course, you don't want anybody to access your data. Comes with LUKS, the Linux Unified Key Setup System. Strong passphrase. And there's this telling you what I just did about how to select encryption during the installation. Or is that after? Yeah, that's during the installation. Yeah, during setup. So this is what we just did. You can change your passphrase. That's something to know. You can change your passphrase. Then F install pwgen space /y. Okay. Yeah, so that's good to know that you can change it if you ever wanted to. But the thing is, with every other thing, you can still get into a system. You can still get back in there. Like if you lose your root password, forget it or whatever, you can fix it. But I don't believe you can with the encryption. That's the whole point. So make sure you don't lose, forget. Don't make such a well, I want to say don't make such a hard password that two things about passwords: if they're so hard, you'll never be able to remember them again, or you know, especially if you don't write them down. Of course, they always tell you don't write them down, but if you don't write them down, they're going to be lost for most people. But write them down and hide them. You know, of course, if you hide them so good you can't find them, I've done that to myself before. Or if you make them so hard to type that you just can't type them. You know. So it's all a trade-off. It's what you think you can handle, I guess. Okay, so there's a good page. That's how to encrypt. Yeah. And change password. Okay. That's good. I may be happy with my. I've been thinking about that for a long time because once in a while I don't take them out very often, but it's doing something a little different. No, it's just there's a dotted line in there. I thought it was fixing to ask me a question. Let's go over there and look at it. I mean, I've already shown it on the video, but I can't tell what it's saying until I switch to it. Get it up on my monitor. There we go. What are you doing now? Oh, it logged me out. Yeah, I should have already turned off that darn thing. Okay, just logged me out is all it did. That can sometimes break something that's going on. Jack it up. Sometimes that screensaver, power saver, log out thing, or security, whatever, that log and making you log in like that can break the process you got going on. Okay, so what I think it's installing it now. Okay, it's checking the installations right now. That's okay. Now when it's and it says upgrading so and so, so and so, so and so. So yeah, it's actually upgrading. It's actually doing the installations now. I'm gonna go in here while it's doing that. See if I can get that. Yeah, power management. Put the display. I don't want it going to sleep ever. I don't want the computer going to sleep. I don't want. And when you shut the lid, I think I better leave it on do nothing. Or should I do blank screen? Blank screen, that's okay. That's all you got is blank screen. Used to it would go to sleep. Used to be what you could do. Dim the display when idle, that drives me crazy. Now this is on AC power anyway. But yeah, I want it to blank the screen when I shut the lid. I don't hardly ever do that. Well, if I'm running like some really long thing in the command line, like an update or something, I might do that with it running. But on battery, when it's in active for never, let's make it 30 minutes. When the laptop lid is closed, blank screen. It should go to sleep. Oh, it'll still go to sleep. Critically low. Whoops, do nothing. No, I want it to. I didn't want it to do nothing. 30 minutes, not. I'm going to say just dim it when it's idle, but not dim it, because then you can't see to do anything. That's weird. Normally you'd have to choose something for critically low. You would. I don't want to do nothing. I wanted to tell it to do something to help. Now, once I've clicked on it, I got no other choice. But let's leave it like that. Kind of have to. General. When the power button is pressed, ask me. When the suspend button is pressed, whoops, do nothing. That's all you can do. Notification area. Only play icon of the battery is present. Yeah. Okay. Now the other thing, never, blank screen, never. Okay. Now let's see if it has a, other thing is a screensaver. Actually, I like screensaver. I like to use pictures is what I like to do, but I don't want it in 5 minutes. I just set it for like an hour. Actually 2 hours on the laptop because I'm usually watching videos. I don't want it to go into screensaver in the middle of a video. Don't want it to lock it. I don't have any pictures yet, so I'm going to say random for now. Later I'll do pictures. See if the power management is still away. Yeah, it's the same. Sometimes you got more than one power management app. Same one. Okay, since it's brand new, it doesn't have anything extra. Okay. Still upgrading. It gets down to the installs, it'll be about done. It's 258 of 1,298, so we got a while to go. So see, the longest process is your first update. It's way longer than the install, especially on this system, this Fedora 25. Can't get it to, I'm trying to go back to my desktop. I kept missing it. Okay, it's working away. Now, okay, Fedora Docs Chapter 4 and Chapter 3. Full disk and file encryption. Okay, now that's the whole documentation on encryption, looks like. But I think it's in Fedora 17. See there, down here, man, the desktop, yeah. See, when you're right there, that I believe we're in Fedora 17. No, 18. It's, I don't know. Well, see, that was just a Google search, so I'm going to take that out of there. If I want to save it, I don't want to save it in there. Well, this is the Fedora Wiki. This is just general information about encryption. Put it in I think I'll put that in Fedora instead of Fedora 25. Put it in the basic Fedora folder up here. There we go, Fedora project. I'm not going to try to read it. I can't. My voice is barely working anymore anyway. Okay. So that's a good place to go to find out all about encryption. I just remembered. Group install commands. Yeah, that's a Gmail to myself about that. Let's see if I can go to it. I put a bunch of stuff together there. Okay. There's an article about, this is Fedora 23, but it should help. I don't know why there's only the one. I don't know if group doesn't have an E on the end. Let's see if it, when I was just typing out group, there was a bunch, see? That's about all kinds of different things. And my installs are still just going along over there. So let's go to that page, and it should tell you a lot. Okay, the hidden DNF groups of Fedora repositories. Oh yeah, and there's the other one, RPM Fusion. Yeah, we need to install RPM Fusion repos. After the update, that would be the very next thing I'd want to do. So this is you probably want to find an article on Fedora 25 to make sure it's all updated. Sometimes the commands change, but I know there's a page that I found with the whole. It's in the Fedora website somewhere. Of all the different groups you can install and the commands to do it. Sudo DNF group list. Okay, that's how you can get the list of. Yeah, I think that's what they're showing there. You don't need to do sudo. You can just do su, type in your root password, and then you won't have to keep typing sudo every time. Available groups, 3D printing, audio. There's a lot of more groups, lots of groups. It's something like DNF group install to actually install them. But you just have to go and do some searching. Google's your friend, I always say. It's really not too hard once you find the commands. And actually, my blog, I have a. The thing is, my blog's hard to search. The searcher's not the greatest in the world. But I do have this stuff on my blog. I know that. I'll go to it. Let's see. Okay, now the customer search. There's a search up there in the top, but it's not very good. But this one here is better. It's a Google search, custom search. Thing is, it doesn't narrow down very well. I mean, it works great. It just doesn't spin Fedora like now. If you go to that one, say you wanted the electronic lab stuff, what else? How to install desktops. That'll be the next thing I personally will do is install other desktops. You ought to install at least one other desktop. If you got like a Core 2, then you probably just go ahead and do XFCE and Mate. I wouldn't do KDE or don't do Genome 3. It'll fight with Mate for control of things. But it's my blog does have a lot. What happened there? I was just rolling my wheel and something happened. Oh, it went back or forward or did something. Okay, so let's say I wanted to install the Fedora lab. Oh, that might be it. No, that's downloading links. Those would be. But Yum, see, back when you use Yum group install electronics lab with the little, not the quotes, but the little one single dot dashes on either side, like the quotes. But people call it quotes, but that's not quotes. I actually don't know what you call it. And it's not. Well, maybe it's the one under the quote. I'd have to do it. I'd have to be running the command to show it. I guess I'll have to make more videos as I build this system. That's what I'll do. Electronic Lab is one of the ones I will install. Let's see, where is that? Download repositories and info. Okay, Fedora Linux download, that's my bookmarks folder. Okay, and then the other thing I would do is, where is this? Fedora project. I think that's not really a Fedora project. It's not going where I want it to. Leave it alone. I think my system is getting a little tired. Yeah, I'm getting too much memory being used up. I need to close some of these. My blog actually uses up too much memory. Spit in Fedora Electronics Lab. Well, that's the same kind of thing. So I'm going to close that. And still working away over there as far as those updates go. So yeah, that's what I'll need to do. But if you wanted somewhere I have the a whole list of all the groups. That page I was on was pretty good. It was giving you the rundown. Actually, I should have. Let's see if we can go back to that one page. Yeah, the hidden DNF groups. That's new enough to be. So DNF group list, and I'll show you. What you can do is just copy that. I don't like to use sudo. I like to use su because it stays. Type in your password one time, and then you're ready to go for any command you need to that needs root privileges. Actually, you don't have to type anything, but just DNF group list once you've done su into root privileges. Now, there's your available groups. See, available environment groups. That would be like a whole thing. Cloud server, XFCE. See if you want to install XFCE desktop, which is what I would want to do, or any of the others. Install groups and all kinds of different things here. Audio, production, I would do. Design Suite, I would do. You might want Mate applications and Mate Compiz for you to add everything to do with Mate desktop. That works well with it. 3D printing, if you were doing that, whatever. Let's see what else. Some of them, are to do with servers and stuff. Games, if you're into games, graphical internet. I'm not quite sure what you would get with that, but most of them. Well, I mean, some of these are going to have quite a few apps, but so if you didn't have a lot of space on your hard drive, you might, not want to just try them to see what happens. But most of them you can just web server, you know, unless you really want a web server, I wouldn't do that, you know, stuff like that. But and actually, I think all you do is just say group install. They can't. It kind of changes back and forth. Oh, you'd say DNF group install, I think is what you do with a space in between each one. It's good. It's really best. You don't want to just fool around with trying out. You don't want to just try out commands. You could actually really damage your system. I mean, something like that right there, like if you said DNF group install, it probably wouldn't be too dangerous. But see, I'm not telling you exactly how to do it. It'd be DNF space group space, but there may need to be a dash. Like you might, I can't remember. You may need to be a dash between your name of your group. This is just giving you lists of the available groups. See, and that's info about the groups and stuff. Maybe there's another page to this article or follow-up that tells you the commands. I know somewhere, this is from 2015, so you really want something newer than that anyway, if you can find it. It should be something newer than that. Say like Fedora 25. There we go. Oops. I may get to where I'm going to have to. I don't worry about, you know, Firefox just does that a lot anymore. Slow, especially since I have so many bookmarks. But since I'm doing my live stream, I have to watch out that I don't overwhelm the machine. I'll close that. That'll help a little bit. Actually, I guess I don't need that terminal. Well, leave it open for a minute. Okay. Now here's one. That's Fedora 25. How do I get a working? Oh yeah. That's something I'll be interesting to do. But see, DNF group list. Okay. DNF group install, and then the group name. Just like I was thinking. But you put, and see that you can put the regular quotation marks. Doesn't have to be the single ones. So yeah, I thought it might be either or, but I wasn't sure. It's a lot easier to do that than the single ones. Well, see now down here it's saying at least the single ones. Sometimes you can go either way, and sometimes you can't. See down here it's saying SU. That's telling you how to install a Genome shell. You don't want Genome shell unless you have Genome desktop. It can be useful. It adds a lot of functionality, but I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, I think it's a comment somebody put in there anyway. But there's, yeah. Here's what somebody. It's another comment. This is how they did one. They development and creative. Workstation, Genome, LibreOffice. I don't know. That's specifically what they want to do. Oh, those was comments too. This is a forum. This is not like an article. Well, I guess it is. Oh, it's a question. Yeah, so this is a forum. That's what those are. So you got to watch out with those. Those can be right and they can be wrong. It's better if it's like a real documentation from Fedora like that, or some article from someone that can tell really knows what they're doing. Yeah, here we go. This is the documentation page. This is, looks like it's down on Fedora 18 again. As long as it's the right commands, it's okay. I think some of these things they haven't changed since then. So let's see, DNF space install space package underscore name. It gets a little more confusing on here. It's usually easier to understand off of one of those other websites because they give you the actual commands. This is specific stuff. That's not groups. Specific apps and stuff. There you go. DNF group install group underscore name. But you see the other ones, they show you to put the quotes. There's another one, DNF install at group. there's several different ways you can do it, and that's what makes it, that does make it get confusing. See, here's one, DNF install at group KDE desktop environment, and it's got dashes in between them, the words. So, yeah, like I said, the documentation can be great, but it can be it can be confusing too. Okay, it's working over there. Let's just look in on that. I believe that, oh, verifying. So it's done. It's probably going to be completely done pretty quickly. Let's go on over there. Let me see. Yeah, it's verifying the packages, but it's on 600 of 1200. It's going fast, though. Oh, look how fast it's going now. There you go. Complete. Okay, we are updated. That's how you do your first update. That's the best way to do it, because you will almost often get hang-ups and it won't work right in the graphic user interface, the YumX. So let's just go into Yum Extender DNF, and you see that those errors. There shouldn't be any more updates. I just thought I'd go in there just to compare. There's one that's blue. What does that mean? Looks like it needs to be updated or something. I'm not going to do that right now because I just wanted to look in there. Preferences. You can turn the updates, and definitely I want the update checker to work. If you do it at login, then sometimes it can make it slow to log in, so you might want to let it just do it every 60 minutes like it's got set by default there. And I'm going to leave it all on defaults for now until I get to using it a lot. I'm not going to do the update. Oh, RPM Fusion, that's what I want. Let's go ahead and look at that right now before I even do that. I'm going to things are not all working right. See, I don't have all my whole desktop's not there. So let's reboot, and maybe that'll fix that. It should. And then so one good thing about using the camera, you can see everything that's happening as I do it. If any errors come up, then you'll see that too. If you're doing the VNC, then you only see what is going on after you get everything up and running. Now you can use your keyboard. See, at the bottom was rescue. That's your old kernel, and you see you got a new kernel now. Those updates did a new kernel. So that's 4.86. Now you got 4.10. So and so you can, if something was broken, you couldn't log in, then you can go back to an older kernel or go to rescue. But rescue usually requires, I don't know, it goes back and forth. Sometimes you just some graphic user stuff, but usually it requires command line work. Let me you put this long thing in here. So you do that, and then it starts booting up. Now, if you want to see anything besides just that little balloon blowing up, hit like an arrow key, or pretty much, I think, escape. I think you hit any key on the keyboard. I usually use the arrow keys or the escape. Then you can see the command line as it boots. So I'm going to have to quit, whether I like it or not. No more talkie. Voice not working. I just now finished a cough drop, and I'm already coughing again. So I think that means I've had enough. Now I'll have to log in again. Now it looks like it's going to the black screen again. It never did show me the login screen. So that's weird. I don't like that. Maybe I'm just not waiting long enough. Maybe it would No, see, now I can type. I don't really like that extra step, I'll be honest. I don't like having to log in twice. It almost seems weird and useless, but I do get it. What you're really doing, you know. Yeah, still a problem. Starting to worry that actually that tells me right there that this may not go away. I may not be able to run Fedora 25 on this laptop. If it's going to keep on doing that, I don't want it on here. I don't want something that's going to keep on giving. It's a boot image crash, you know. Now I do have my desktop back though. That's all okay. I guess it saved it automatically went back to the same resolution I was in before though. But see, now I have my different workspaces down at the bottom. They were gone. If they go away again, I'm going to end up saying I'm going to have to try domain. But I was just going to look to see what the display. Yes, it's 1024 by 768. Now that if you were going to use this, well, you just have to decide what you want. If you're going to use it the way I almost, well, when I'm not pointing a camera at it, I can bring that laptop way over here closer to me where I can see it. I have to turn my head to the left, and it kind of makes a crick in my neck after I do it for very long, but I can do that. And that's what I usually do if I am using the laptop here at the desk like this. But and I just don't do the dual monitor thing at all. That way it actually, because you know, it makes it work harder, and if you're trying to do a bunch of stuff, then it may get hot, get tired, and not want to handle it. Right now it's running super fast though. Of course, I don't have really anything added. I haven't installed any extra apps or anything. But if I open up Firefox and I want to install the RPM Fusion, and that's pretty easy. So I'll show that. I like Firefox. I don't really like Chrome. If I was going to use, now I'm not going to use Claude's Mail, so I'm going to remove that. Right click, remove from panel. And actually, I want my Firefox to be, oh, we got to unlock it. Right click and then do it again. Move, because I want them in order. Oh, you got to unlock all of them. I usually just leave them unlocked. It actually kind of works out better because sometimes when you change resolutions and stuff, they actually need to be able to move. So it's better to leave these particular icons unlocked. Leave everything else locked, or else it'll go all over the place whenever you change the resolutions. Or when it does it automatically with the laptop, you know, it'll do it automatically depending on what you have, if you have that VGA cable plugged in. So, RPM Fusion. Let me make sure I just don't trust whether or not I'm in the right place on my video here. Yeah, okay, we are. Okay, so I went to Google to search for RPM Fusion. There it is right there, rpmfusion.org. Okay. First bookmark, so I usually do that. Usually organize everything in folders. Okay, so you can either download them and run the file, or you can run the commands. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it with the And if you're familiar with them, you know, I used to use Lavina, and I don't know, I probably used fresh RPMs too, but anyway, it's all together now, all those are. So I'm going to just click on that, but I'm going to keep the other one open. Now I'm not running live anymore, I'm running off the, I don't want that. A lot of that I'm going to get rid of, but I'm going to do it right now. Okay. Graphical Setup or command line. And, you know, if you copy and paste the commands, Fedora 22 and later, I believe you can copy that whole thing in there. So I'm going to try it. And if you do it that way, now if you do it by downloading them manually or whatever, let's see, you got to do the free and the non-free. Now you want to do the free first. I believe it'll tell you. You have to read through all this to understand it. It's not complicated, though. Anyway, you want to install them in the right order. Yeah, and I believe they have it lettered out just the way you should do it. So you'd pick your distro, and you do the free. Oh, see, that downloads it. And I'm going to hit cancel. You don't want to open it. You want to hit save it. And I don't even have that. On this system, I don't have any browser add-on, so you can't scan it for, you know, see if it's okay. It should be okay on RPM Fusion, but you never know who might get hit. But if you do it with the command, I got to where I realized it's actually, I believe you can copy this whole command. Let's just try it. And I'll go ahead and make this bigger so that you can see everything that I put in there. Paste that, and I believe it'll just do it all. It'll do them both and do it all for you. So, you know, you're not typing all this out. You're just copy and pasting. What I did is I skipped the sudo and just did DNF on. Okay, now it's going to do RPM Fusion free and non-free. And it's not money they're talking about. They're talking about free as in freedom. In other words, there's some proprietary code in the non-free stuff, and the other is completely free and open source. That's what they mean. All right, I believe it's already done. That's quicker than downloading them. I used to always download them, but this is actually easier. Now I'm just going to leave those open and look. Now, normally I run all my systems with this is not the system monitor I like the best, but this will tell you, yeah, I like this part, it's pretty cool, but it also uses more, this thing uses, you know, up some system resources. So on a Core 2, you might not want to run this all the time. Normally I run this all the time, but I leave it on processes. And the other one has that search in it and all that, but, and I leave it organized usually by memory now. I used to do, where's the processor? There it is, CPU. See, that tells you what's using. System monitor is using the most of anything. If you do it by memory, that it's Firefox. So I got to where I leave it on memory. Just to tell you what your system is right here. And there's a graph, but that I wouldn't leave it on that graph all the time. This one with this graph is also the one that I think uses the most resources. So I'm going to finish this and get out. I'm going to have to quit. But so anyway, I open up my stuff in different workspaces, and we probably noticed that in my other desktop. So what do I want? You can get to Yelmex a couple of different ways. Well, you can usually. It's not showing up in the system. So go here. Need to change the clock to 12 hour. I don't like that. military time. I don't know what time it is. Okay, when that gets through, I'll show the, actually you can probably do that while it's doing that. I just remembered preferences, maybe. Now my nose was wanting to run. Okay, sorry. Well, I guess I should know when to quit. So I'm going to quit just as soon as I get through showing this. I wanted to show that the RPM Fusion is installed. And it'll give you a whole lot more apps to choose from. It's taking longer, I guess, because of those extra repos. So yeah, I can't, that preferences is not going to come up until it's through checking the repositories. I think it's showing you what it's checking. Yeah, RPM Fusion for Fedora 25 free updates. It's checking for updates. Of course, I haven't installed any package from there yet, so it does that when you first open it up. It's checking for updates. That's why it takes a while. And it's reading repositories. It's really taking a while. Yeah, normally I haven't been worrying about it. I'll close that. I've been worrying about, you can move to different workspaces. I've been worried about where I keep things because it wasn't really, like actually up and running and working. But I use Thunderbird for my email, and I keep it in one, and then Firefox in two, or whatever web browser I'm using. My file manager I put in there in that one, and then I always have 6. And I skip some. I do anyway. It doesn't matter. Just do it the way you like it. But that's not coming in much slower than I thought. But I guess because it's first check for RPM Fusion. But it is installed, and it's working. It's going through looking at the updates. I'm checking back on my stream. I can't keep on talking about this. Okay, it got done, didn't it? Let's go back. Okay. Just telling you about what's going on. Oh, this is the window that I had tried to open up. I just finally opened up. Preferences. So I'm not going to change any of those options. I just see all the repositories that are in there now. All the RPM Fusion. So I'm not going to change anything. It does say save selected repositories. Oh, you definitely want that. I didn't know you had to do that. So save selected repositories so they'll be used next time. You wouldn't want to have to redo that every time. I don't know what you'd really want from Cisco. Guess it might be interesting to find out. And I wouldn't do updates testing unless I really needed them. You know, like well, might need them on. Problem is, this is an old laptop, and that's why I'm worried. There may not be any whatever's having trouble with. You know, there may not be any thing coming out to make it work better. That's the reason I say I might have to use a Debian or something, because it kind of stays with the older hardware longer than Fedora does. Update testing would be for new, improved, you know, newer hardware, even newer drivers, the Wi-Fi drivers. I may have to manually. Well, they were in the repos, the Wi-Fi drivers for this laptop. I hope they still are. Anyway, I can't even hardly talk anymore. So okay. One of the reasons I'm having trouble, it's got up to 79 degrees in this room, and I just looked at I'm feeling really hot now. It's getting hot outside. It's getting hot in here. Oh, I guess I clicked on that settings window too many times, and it had two windows open. I have to find out why. There's something new here, this new blue color. It's usually green and red. I'm going to check it, and then hit do it. That was an update. Oh, there's an error with the update. Okay. That must be why it was blue. So it couldn't do it. Okay, so I don't know. It's not anything important, but we'll see. Okay, so I can close that. So there you go. We did our first update, and we installed the RPM Fusion repos. So you just go to rpmfusion.org, read through it, and it's really pretty easy to just copy and paste the whole code in there. You can just copy the whole thing, and then it'll ask you for your root password if you don't want to do it the way I did it. But here we go. Now I'm going to have to quit because I can't even talk anymore. The home page they give you is Fedora, but it can be interesting when you're new to it, you know. I mean, a lot of it'll be the newest things with Fedora, but it's got to do with everything, you know, like servers and everything. But you can change that too. Of course, you know how to use Firefox. You know how to do all that. It's pretty much same, almost exactly the same as the way you would do it in Windows. Maybe things look a slight bit different. This is not the way I like mine laid out anyway. So I'm going to have to get out of here because I can't talk anymore anyway. But that's a good stopping point. This has already turned into even longer than I wanted to make it or expected it to be. But see how long it turned out to be. Oh yeah, I was going to go. I'm just going to go by my desktop over here on this machine now. I was going to go check my stream, and I always like to know. There we go. That's another thing I keep forgetting about, how I can get back to that live dashboard. Yeah, almost 2 hours. Okay, so there we go. That's good thorough how to install and do your first update and install RPM Fusion repos. And that's real time. All events occur in real time. I've been once said. So I was going to try to say it. Sounded right, but I can't sound it all right now. So Here we go. I might look through that new system a little bit, but I can't talk anymore, so I'm going to quit. I'm coughing like crazy. Okay. What fun. Well, finally got it installed. We'll see if I like having it encrypted. All right, this done. And so now between this one here and the other one where I put it on the USB stick, we'll have good how-tos on completely start to finish getting Fedora 25 installed on the system. All right, it's done. Bye-bye.